Have you ever felt completely stuck? Like you're just running in circles, trying so hard to change, but ending up in the exact same spot? Well, today we're diving into a really powerful idea called pattern intelligence. And it might just be the key to seeing those invisible forces that hold us back, and finally, figuring out how to get unstuck. It is the most frustrating question, isn't it? You know what you should do. You might even have a great plan laid out. And yet somehow you wind up right back where you started. What if the real problem isn't what you're doing, but something you can't even see? And this just gets to the heart of it. That bone-deep exhaustion. You've read the books, you get the concepts, whether it's setting boundaries or getting your finances in order, but when you try to actually do it, there's this invisible wall, the cycle that just feels impossible to break. Okay, and this is probably the most important thing to hear right now. It is time to stop blaming yourself. Seriously. This isn't about you not having enough discipline or not being smart enough. The real problem is an invisible structure that's been calling the shots without you even realizing it. So, if there's this invisible structure, how do we even begin to see it? Well, first, we have to understand the huge difference between the symptoms we're always trying to fix and the structure that's actually causing all the trouble. This slide just lays it all out perfectly. On the left, you see our usual game plan, right? We try to fix our behavior, force a new habit, use a communication script, or just try harder. It's basically like putting a tiny Band-Aid on a massive crack in a wall. But over on the right, that's the real deal. That's the foundation. These deep, hidden patterns about what you think you're allowed to want, or what you just automatically say yes to. These are the invisible rules running the show. And that's it in a nutshell. We can spend years, decades even, patching up the surface-level cracks, while the faulty foundation, that invisible architecture, is never even looked at. Is it any wonder our fixes never seem to last? Okay, so if the problem is this big invisible thing, how on earth do we make it visible? This brings us to the absolute core idea here. The simple but incredibly profound act of naming, and how naming itself is a powerful intervention. Now, we all think we know what naming means, right? You see something, you describe it, you give it a label. It's just words. But in this context, oh, it is so much more than that. This is such a critical distinction. See, an explanation, it's looking for agreement. It kind of invites debate, like, hey, do you see it my way? But naming, in this sense, doesn't ask for permission. It just walks in and completely reorganizes how you see everything. It changes the entire playing field of the conversation. And here is the real magic. When you truly name a pattern, you're not trying to win an argument or prove you're right. You're just collapsing all the fog, all the plausible deniability that let that pattern live in the shadows. Suddenly, that dynamic is right there, in the light, and it becomes impossible for anyone to ignore. And get this, the change isn't something that happens later. It happens in the exact moment of naming. It's like flipping a light switch in a dark room. You can't unsee what's there. The act of making the invisible visible is an irreversible shift. The system, whether that's your own mind, your family, or your team, can never go back to pretending that pattern doesn't exist. But what happens when you're the one who sees these patterns before anyone else is ready to? This brings us to a really important idea, something called the tax on seeing early. Have you ever had that feeling, that knot in your stomach? You sense a weird tension in a room before anyone's even said anything? Or you just know a project is going off the rails while everyone else is still cheering? You're not crazy. You're just picking up on the structural signals way before they become obvious to everyone else. Yeah, but here's the catch. Seeing things early often comes with a price. People might call you negative or a pessimist. You get asked to prove something that's still just a feeling, a faint signal. You get ignored until the problem blows up and everyone can see it. And then, sometimes, you even get blamed for being the one who pointed it out in the first place. It can be a lonely place to be. So, what do? Well, the answer isn't to just shout louder, trying to force everyone else to see what you see. It's about giving yourself permission to trust your own perception, to stay aligned with what you know is true deep down, and to just have the patience to let everyone else catch up. All right, this brings us to our final section, and honestly, it might be the most important piece of the whole puzzle. After all this work, what is the real goal of seeing these invisible patterns? Let's be really, really clear on this one. This way of thinking is completely different from most self-help. The goal is not to fix something that's broken inside you, or to heal you, or even to give you a new list of skills to practice. The purpose is simply this: to give you a new vantage point, to show you the invisible architecture you've been living inside of. It's like showing a fish the water it's been swimming in its entire life, something so fundamental it never even knew it was there. And that, right there, is why all of this matters. Because the second that pattern isn't invisible anymore, it loses its power to run you on autopilot. For the very first time, you can see it happening in real time. And in that moment of seeing, you get your choice back. You can actually choose a different way. So you can forget about trying to learn a dozen new complicated strategies. This whole thing is about developing one fundamental ability, the power to see the invisible architecture that is shaping your entire life. Ultimately, the shift is just profound. You stop fighting yourself, you stop blaming your willpower, you're not working any harder. You're simply working from a place of clarity and truth instead of from inside the confusion of an unseen pattern. So I'll leave you with this one question to really chew on. What invisible pattern, what unspoken rule has been quietly running your life this whole time?